I enjoyed this read and thought of sharing it with you. If 7.8 billion people in unison knew the contempt with which they are treated by the ruler, its fascist motives, and clearly understood the ruler's key enslavement mechanisms, they would soon stop complying with said mechanisms. We would all be free overnight, literally. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. The key is therefore knowledge, which necessarily means a sleuth's investigation of history to fully understand the evil that rules. What drives compliance is appeal to authority, ignorance of who rules and their motives, which shapes the ruler's central doctrine and key mechanisms. This is delivered through the indoctrination and compartmentalization, the latter also serving as a bonding agent to hold the pyramid in place. The illusion of democracy is only one of many examples of indoctrination, and neither the exclusive method nor key in driving compliance. Nothing is transitioning into a system of technocratic legitimacy, and no system can be defined as technocratic in nature, as the actual rulers aren't technologists or technicians. National governments have no legal sovereignty and never have. Legal sovereignty is the sole ownership of the global ruling dynasty, which makes all laws and owns global money supply monopoly, and its primary apparatuses such as the Vatican State, the Crown Temple, District of Columbia, or DC, Orders of Zion, Temple, Malta, Rose-Croix being Rosicrucianism, Garda, etc. Supranational, so they're talking about a mixture of chivalric order with things like the Vatican State and DC. Supranational globalist institutions are simply other instruments in the globalist apparatus belonging wholly to said dynasty. National governments have long taken orders from supranational globalist institutions headed by Chatham House, Privy Council, and Fabian Society. None of this is new, and any notion that it is emanates from disinformation peddled by those whose job it is to lead and control the opposition. I'll say that again. None of this is new, and any notion that it is emanates from disinformation peddled by those whose job it is to lead and control the opposition. All that has happened since early 2020 in respect to this is that globalist control has become slightly more overt. Some new fascist measures implemented, lots of genocide, and exactly nothing else. The World Health Organization doesn't set any strategic agenda, but it is scripted by UN or United Nations and ultimately Chatham House, which works in close conjunction with Privy Council. CBDC and all the other control mechanisms that will be linked to digital ID, including social credit, facial recognition surveillance, internet controls, UBI, medical records, taxation, carbon footprint, etc., are an acceleration of enslavement, aka fascism. Technology has always been used as a tool for fascism, but none of that makes anything a technocracy, because we are not ruled by technologists or technology, but by a Babylonian, Masonic, and fascist doctrine. I wouldn't say Babylonian, but that's semantics. Let us continue. That binds a ruling dynasty or empire, none of whose members are technologists. Usurious money supply, monopoly, and taxation to pay for its usury remains the single most potent enslavement mechanism, followed closely by military, police, and other enforcement instruments. Yet absolutely none of those figureheads who lead the opposition ever talk about non-compliance to this, or indeed anything to do with the real pyramidal hierarchy from the top, and how the world actually operates. The global empire has always hidden its own existence with successive layers of the pyramid going underground as they become visibly powerful. 3 guesses as to why that is. Any 3-year-old would give you a straight answer, but yet our very own expert commentators who lead and control the dissident opposition never do. Those administrating the system are simply house slaves who lynch the field slaves. They themselves and what they do define neither the doctrine nor the identity of those who actually rule. It is indeed as important to educate others about the illusion of democracy as it is to understand who actually pulls the strings. The difference is the former is talked about and the latter far less, if at all, which perpetuates the 1% billionaire technocrats are undertaking a coup to rule the world myth. The wealth of those very few who rule runs into 100 plus zeros, and they clearly don't want you to know who they are, nor are they subject to the Roman law of enslavement that forms the backbone of law in every country on earth, or usury for that matter, that's just for the slaves, including technologists and administrators.